Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Steelers Will Howard turns heads after NFL Draft Weekend playbook request. Ohio State quarterback Will Howard conveyed on Day 3 of the 2025 NFL Draft how excited he was to be going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then the next day, he showed his excitement with a request. The Philadelphia Inquirer's Devin Jackson reported on April 30 that Howard waited one day into his Steelers tenure before asking quarterbacks coach Tom Arth for the team's offensive playbook. According to Howard's mother, the quarterback wanted an early jump on studying the team's plays. It left Arth impressed. Arth wrote Will back and said, "Hey, we were going to give you the weekend off, but this is why we drafted you, because it's the kind of worker you are," said the quarterback's mother, Maureen Howard. When the story reached social media over the first weekend of May, it also left Steelers fans on X impressed. "Like I said, he's going to be the starter, and he's gonna be elite as well. Just watch," wrote on X user. "I love having players on a roster that know what winning at high levels feels like, and even if he doesn't win the job, having a guy that wants to win on the roster is huge," wrote another user. Attitude matters. Steelers fans were already pretty excited about the team drafting Howard. It reached a fever pitch for some fans after they learned about his playbook request. "Will Howard will without a doubt be the greatest sixth-round QB of all time," wrote a Steelers fan. As the number 199 overall pick in 2000, Tom Brady currently holds that title. "I had him as my number 2 QB on the draft boards, only behind Jackson Dart, but maybe he should have been number 1, tweeted another Steelers fan. Some Ohio State fans responded to Howard's early playbook request as well on X. Although it was unclear if the Buckeyes fans also support the Cleveland Browns, they appeared frustrated the Browns picked other quarterbacks instead of Howard. "Hey Browns fans, at least Dillon Gabriel is making tic-tics with his lady and Shedeur is walking up a hill," tweeted a Buckeyes fan. "Howard played in a much more pro-style offense, Kevin Stefanski type," wrote another Browns fan. "Had options to call audibles at the Los, played well under center, and is a proven leader. I'd take him 10 times out of 10 versus either of the Browns picks." Picking Dillon Gabriel over Will Howard or Shedeur Sanders shows why the Browns are the worst sports organization in all of sports history, wrote another X user. As exciting as adding Howard is for the Steelers, it's important to keep in mind 184 prospects went off the draft board before him. There's a reason for that. NFL draft analysts question Howard's arm strength. The prospect also only emerged as a star at Ohio State with all the top offensive talent around him. For Howard to become even a steady backup in the NFL, he's going to have to develop. But the quarterback's mother told Jackson that he is ready to put the work in for that to happen. "No one will outwork Will," Maureen said. "I can guarantee you that he'll give it everything he has." At Ohio State last season, Howard posted 4,010 passing yards with 35 touchdowns. He also registered a 73% completion percentage while averaging 9.5 yards per attempt. Howard led the Buckeyes to a 14-2 record and national championship title. In 4 seasons with Kansas State prior to 2024, Howard recorded 5,786 passing yards and 48 touchdowns in 34 games. He also had a 58.8% completion percentage and averaged 7.4 yards per pass. Mason Rudolph makes feelings on Pittsburgh Steelers return perfectly clear. The Pittsburgh Steelers face legitimate questions at the quarterback spot following the major talent acquisition periods of the offseason. Not only have they missed out on solid starting options for 2025, but there is not a known foundational piece to carry the franchise forward. There are some veteran options they could explore through a trade, and the Aaron Rodgers connection remains a real possibility. But until pen goes to paper, there is nothing final in these cases, especially with Rodgers. That leaves Mason Rudolph atop the Steelers' depth chart. Rudolph has starting experience both in Pittsburgh and with the Tennessee Titans, though he is not considered a long-term solution. He will serve more as a bridge to whichever quarterback gets the reins to the franchise next. But that does not seem to bother him much months out from the start of training camp. For Rudolph, he is mostly excited to be back Pittsburgh and representing a vibrant sports environment. He made that perfectly clear while volunteering at the Chick-fil-A Pittsburgh Kids Marathon on Saturday. Being back in the city of Pittsburgh, it's a sports town like no other. Anytime we get to repay that, it's always a fun opportunity, Rudolph explained to local television station WTAE. Now the competitor in Rudolph hopes to prove the Steelers right in reclaiming him during free agency. The Steelers did take a flyer on Will Howard late in the draft, but neither he nor Skylar Thompson is expected to command the starters' reps among this group. That familiarity with Pittsburgh and holdovers from the coaching staff during his previous stint should play into his favor. He spent his first 5 seasons with the Steelers before leaving last offseason for the Titans. Whether or not the Steelers have one more move planned or end up bringing in Rodgers, they know they have at minimum a known commodity in Rudolph to get them through the season. James Palmer says Aaron Rodgers is in relatively constant contact with Mike Tomlin. The Pittsburgh Steelers have frustrated many with their wait for Aaron Rodgers throughout the offseason. They're certainly taking the patient approach. It's now May, and with off-season workouts looming shortly, now would be a good time for Rodgers to make a decision regarding his 2025 season. While that decision hasn't come, the Steelers have remained confident in their pursuit of Rodgers. Part of the reason for that could be because they've remained in contact with him, as NFL insider James Palmer mentioned on 93.7 The Fan on Monday. So maybe this is going the way that everybody involved understands it to happen, Palmer said. And at the same time, I know that he, Aaron Rodgers, has stayed in relatively constant contact with Mike Tomlin. So I do believe there's enough things pointing that Aaron Rodgers would be the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. As is the case with any team needing a quarterback, the Steelers have been linked via rumors to almost every option on the market this offseason. Yet, they've made just a few minuscule moves at the position. Make no mistake, Mason Rudolph, Skylar Thompson, and Will Howard can be solid backup options in 2024. Yet, this far into the offseason, the Steelers have done nothing else at the position. The only reasonable explanation is that they expect Rodgers to sign at some point. Palmer's report that the sides have been in contact is encouraging as well. Rodgers has an extremely small circle around him, and he does his best to keep outside noise away. So, if he's keeping in contact with Tomlin, that's a good sign for the Steelers' hopes of landing him. Pittsburgh's been patient, but that patience is going to wear thin. The Steelers wanted an answer from Aaron Rodgers before the draft, but clearly didn't get one. Art Rooney too said the Steelers will continue to wait for him but hinted that they'd like not to have to wait too much longer. At this point, though, there really isn't another choice. For what it's worth, Mike Tomlin has marked training camp as a potential deadline for Rodgers, although it's not an absolute. So, the wait could continue for another couple of months. The Steelers can't be comfortable waiting that long. That doesn't leave Rodgers with much time to gel with his new teammates or coaching staff either. Yet, this is the bed the Steelers have made for themselves. They didn't value Justin Fields enough to offer him as much as the New York Jets did, and they repeatedly passed on Shedeur Sanders in the draft as well. That doesn't mean either of those decisions was wrong. However, the Steelers now find themselves waiting on one of the most polarizing figures the league has seen in recent years. If Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers remain in contact, though, that can only mean good things for his chances of suiting up with the Steelers in 2025. And you, fan? What do you think about Aaron Rodgers' situation? Write to us in the comments.